Hello, good evening. You're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll be taking you to top stories across Canada. A Toronto police officer is facing half a dozen charges in connection with the alleged sexual assault of a girl last year. The Special Investigations Unit laid the charges against Constable Parsa Hazari, who was arrested at its headquarters on Thursday morning. In a news release on Thursday, the SIU said its director Joseph Martino has reasonable grounds to believe Hazari committed criminal offenses against a female youth. The alleged offenses occurred between September and December 2025, the SIU said. Hazari has been charged with sexual assault, sexual interference, invitation to sexual touching, transmitting sexually explicit material to a person under the age of 16 and communicating with a person under the age of 16 for purpose of facilitating an offense. He is also facing charges of breach of trust and careless use of a firearm. The SIU said it will not release further details about its investigation as it is now before the courts. Hazari was released on conditions including refraining from communicating directly or indirectly with the victim. He is scheduled to appear in court on July 17. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow says FIFA's decision to ban World Cup ticket holders from bringing reusable water bottles into stadiums amount to a pure money grab. Soccer's governing body made last-minute changes to its stadium code of conduct this week, which will no longer permit fans to bring in their own reusable bottles to World Cup matches. It is pure money grab. Why do you need to buy a bottle when you can just carry water in it? It is cheaper that way and it is good for the environment, Chow said when asked about the change on Thursday. It is outrageous. They are just trying to make more money. They are already making billions of dollars. Stop it. The FIFA World Cup will begin on June 11th, with the first of 6 games slated for Toronto taking place on June 12th. Speaking with Awaz News on Thursday, Chow conceded that there is not a whole lot the city can do on the reusable bottle ban as FIFA sets the rules at Toronto Stadium and other World Cup venues. But she did offer FIFA a proposal that she called a very beautiful gesture for the people of Toronto. In a statement released earlier on Thursday, the Toronto Environment Alliance called FIFA's water bottle policy a short-sighted and environmentally harmful decision that adds to its growing concerns about the World Cup's environment legacy. The group said that its own calculations show that more than 1 million disposable items could have been saved in Toronto alone from using reusable cups instead of single-use cups throughout the tournament events. BMO Field, which have been temporarily renamed Toronto Stadium for the FIFA World Cup, has had a long-standing policy permitting ticket holders to bring reusable water bottles into the venue. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is defending his use of charter flights in the wake of criticism over his government's short-lived since abandoned purchase of a private jet. Ford made the comments during a news conference on Thursday when questioned about his frequent use of charter flights to travel around Canada and the United States, noting that he would continue to charter when needed. Global News has previously reported that the Ontario government spent more than $140,000 on private plane charters to at least 5 destinations in 2025. A spokesperson for Ford's office would not confirm that number to Awaz News on Friday, only saying that decisions about travel are made on a case-by-case basis, depending on security, scheduling, the availability of commercial flights, and availability of the OPP craft. Ford noted that he did take a charter flight to Texas for a recent trade mission. He said that the charter flight allowed him to visit 3 cities and partake in 13 different meetings with Fortune 500 companies on Ontario's behalf, which he suggested will result in $6 billion investments. I couldn't hit 3 cities in Texas and 13 appointments if I didn't charter, he said. In May, documents from the Premier's office revealed that taxpayers are still on the hook for nearly $200,000 following the government's flip flow on the $28.9 million jet purchase. Since then, opposition leader Marit Stiles has called on Ford to personally repay any additional costs around the jet purchase and sale. She also sent a letter to Ontario Auditor General Shelley Spence requesting a comprehensive audit and investigation into the purchase and resale of the jet. There is no word on whether an official independent audit or investigation is underway. The government did, however, recently strike down a motion by Ontario NDP Shadow Finance Minister Jessica Bell, who tried to call for an inquiry. Close to 800 positions within the Toronto District School Board will likely be cut in upcoming school year, according to a notice filed with the province. The termination of employment form, which has been filed with the Ministry of Labour, is offering a more detailed picture of just how many jobs could be eliminated at the board, which was one of the 8 school boards but put under provincial supervision in the past year. According to the document, 792 positions are set to be cut in the fall. The document notes that it is not expected that final numbers will exceed estimates, and it is likely that the final numbers will be less than set out. While the exact number of the jobs that will be cut in September has not been finalized, John Weatherup, President of Toronto Education Workers CUBE Local 4400, said the document seems to show that nearly every single one of the boards 500 plus schools will be impacted. One alarming cut to the special education, he said, is the elimination of 15 diagnostic kindergarten classes, which provide smaller class sizes and more support to children with complex medical, physical, and developmental needs. Some of these cuts have been previously reported by media, including a reduction of nearly 300 teaching positions this year. Officials previously confirmed that due to the declining enrollment, 289 teaching positions will be cut across the board for the 2026-27 school year, though it noted those numbers are subject to change. This includes about 150 positions at model schools. Last month, the TDSB also confirmed to Awaz News that 218 central staff positions will be eliminated along with 91 vacant positions. 40 vice principal roles will also be cut across the board. TDSB spokesperson Ryan Bird told Awaz News that the number of employees who lose their jobs will be significantly lower than the number provided in the ministry document. Speaking at a news conference announcing the start of collective bargaining between the province and the 5 major education unions on Wednesday, Martha Rowdy, the president of the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, said cuts are having a massive impact in the classroom. These cuts are not simply tied to enrollment, and they are not being reinvested back into classrooms despite what the minister may claim. Every lost position means fewer support for students and greater strain on the workers who remain. An Ontario man is facing charges after human remains located in Pickering almost 4 years ago were identified and the person's death was deemed a homicide. On August 30th, 2022, the family of Roman Perlstein reported him missing. He was last seen near Bathurst Street and Orchid Heights Boulevard in the town of Aurora several weeks ago. Prior to Perlstein being reported missing, police say human remains were found along a trail near Sideline 20 and Concession Road 8 in Pickering. No identification could be made at the time due to the conditions of the remains, York Regional Police said in news release. In March 2025, dental records helped identify the remains as those of the missing man. Following a lengthy investigation, Suren Giskuov, 49, and Harwich Township near Chatham, Ontario, was charged on 21st May with accessory after the fact to murder and indignity to a dead body. The charges have not been tested in court. The investigation is ongoing. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is once again pushing back against U.S. President Donald Trump's 51st state rhetoric, suggesting Canada's sovereignty is not on sale and that the province is outperforming its American counterparts in job creation. President Trump's back on his high horse, saying we are going to be 51st state. I can tell President Trump that will never ever happen, Ford said Thursday at a Toronto news conference. His comments came after Trump reacted to a Bloomberg report this week that Canada had fallen into a technical recession, posting on social media 51st state. The remark was later shared by US Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra. On Thursday, Ford said Canada would remain independent regardless of economic challenges. We will always be a proud sovereign country, and I'm going to fight every single day to make sure that happens, he said. While two consecutive quarterly contractions meet some definitions of a technical recession, and 3 of the last 4 quarters in Canada have recorded negative GDP growth, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has yet to sound the alarm. At a press conference earlier this week, Carney did acknowledge the economy's weakness, but fell short of describing current conditions as a recession. Ford said on Thursday that many Canadians are living with uncertainty amid challenging economic conditions, but he argued that Ontario is better positioned than many jurisdictions to withstand the impact of Trump's tariff and trade policies. The Premier pointed to April employment figures, saying Ontario added 42,400 jobs, while the rest of Canada collectively lost 18,000. Ford also claimed Ontario outperformed the United States on a population-adjusted basis. Premier Doug Ford says the upload of Gardiner Expressway and Don Valley Parkway from City of Toronto will complete late next year. As part of the New Deal our government reached with the City of Toronto, Ontario will officially be taking ownership of the Don Valley Parkway and the Gardiner Expressway in the fall of 2027, Ford told reporters while standing in the front of the Gardiner Expressway in downtown Toronto Thursday. He said until then, the province will provide the city with $350 million to continue to operate and maintain the highways. Mayor Olivia Chow spoke alongside Ford and said the upload makes sense because the DVP and Gardiner are regional roads used by people across the GTA, not just Toronto residents. The city said the New Deal frees up around $1.9 billion over a decade that the municipal government can put toward other needs. Since the New Deal was signed in 2023, the province has provided the city with $431.4 million to support and maintain the highways, including $73 million to accelerate repairs on the Gardiner Expressway. The province said in a statement that during the transition, it will help guide capital decisions to align work on both highways with applicable provincial standards. Provincial officials confirmed to Awaz News several weeks ago that there are plans for the OPP to take over policing of the Gardiner and DVP from Toronto Police. However, no date was provided for the transition. While he talked about gridlock being a major problem, referring to the Don Valley Parkway as the Don Valley parking lot, Ford did not offer any specifics on what the province might do to make sure traffic moves faster on the busy roads. However, he did tout steps the province is taking to alleviate congestion more broadly, such as a major public transit expansion and highway projects elsewhere. When it comes to New Deal 2.0, discussions talks about steps to further help the city through major policy changes. Ford gave few details. Let's get through this, he told reporters when asked what comes next. Thank you for watching Awaz News. I'm Kubrali. I'll be seeing you tomorrow again, same time, same channel.